Keep on going.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I mean, drones were super sketchy. Um,
What
15,
was what
16
was the
years
first
ago.
drone you used for photogrammetry?
I built it. I was manually flying in a Line 600 helicopter. Like there wasn't DJI wasn't a like when DJI started,
That's
they made
insane.
flight controllers for RC helicopters. This was before flame wheels, and that we didn't use it. I didn't trust them. I had a mechanical flybar and a gyro on a tail, um, and manually flew the spaced flight lines.
Damn.
What was your
Learning
camera
to do
like? An
that.
RX? Like, did you just
Uh,
mount an RX on it?
Actually, the first camera I used because I didn't know better was a Canon S100, right? That
Does that have mechanical shutter? No, right?
No, it did not. And then I moved
Yeah.
to I figured out stuff, and then I went to a Fujifilm mechanical shutter, and I had to
Yeah, those are
rig my
beautiful.
own electronic shutter because there was no automatic. It was gonna trigger, so I had to write my own
Mm-hmm.
scripts. And do all of that. And I actually started like the company pivoted from a consulting company into a drone company, and then we sold steady drones, which most people don't even remember steady drone. It was a Pickhawk based collapsible drone with a front mounted camera that could look up for bridge inspections and down. And,
Oh,
we were
wow.
doing Sony A5200s, I think we're out at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That was like 2012
Wow.
and 2013. So, and then we released a Vader, which was bigger than a Harris H6E, but it was like a
Oh,
stacked
wow.
X8, and I was flying Vux ones on that. And that was Pickhawk based, but all my own custom firmware and stuff like that. So um, yeah,
It's
it was
crazy.
definitely the Wild West of everything, and pre 107, pre 33 exemption. The
Yep.
best part was is I was doing stuff with like government entities. And then I learned about public aircraft operations and how to get public aircraft operations permits. And then people are like, well, why
Wow.
aren't you doing a 333? I'm like, I don't need to. I'm literally only doing stuff for government agencies. And we filed public aircraft operations stuff. So then I started helping cities and towns do their 333 exemptions to start their drone programs. And it went really, really well, really exciting. Moved into utility space, did a lot of stuff with utility and a lot of DOT. And then I started at Mazer and started to learn about like mobile LiDAR,
Mm-hmm.
and airborne LiDAR and everything else, and was like, you know what? Right tool, right job. And it's funny because I used to be the guy
Mm.
who's like 5,000 acres with a drone, no problem. Now you give me a 5,000 acre project, there's no chance I'm flying it with a drone
Yeah,
because
no
I can do
way.
it with a manned aircraft
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
And there's just the trade-offs. And now as my career has evolved, and honestly it was people like Grayson and Ben that started Phoenix LiDAR, and very early people at Regal that kind of taught me a lot about this. And then like the Paul D. Jacobys and the Clay Wygants, and like just like those are like some of the first people in mobile LiDAR that started it. I mean, David Evans and
Mm-hmm.
Associates, I think DEA owned one of the first Regal Vuxes ever, in the US, right? And
Yep.
just kind of following those journeys and honestly learning the pain points, because I've realized, and I learned this in the military, sorry, it wasn't a Saluki lesson, that learn from other people's mistakes. Um, uh, and kind of dive into it, and I made a lot of mistakes, but learn from those and processes, and we'll get into that. I mean, you guys mentioned the tech tip, which shout out to Leica. It's probably the best tech tip I've heard in a long time, so I'm sure we'll talk more about ground control, because it's a
Yeah.
pretty hot topic in the industry right
Sure.
now.
Oh, dude, that's like the perfect segue into my next question. So we hear all the time the phrase survey grade lidar, right? Um, like, what does it exist?
Sure, but you know what survey grade is?
Tell
Whatever
us.
whatever a surveyor says.
Yeah, don't get them started.
Yep.
Oh,
So
I hate that
uh,
term, survey grade and
s-
GIS grade.
So do I. Like, to me, survey grade, if a
Yeah.
surveyor tells you it's 10 foot accurate, that's survey grade. If it tells you it's 1 centimeter accurate, it's survey grade. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a marketing hype term. Um, I mean, it depends what kind of survey you're doing. Some surveyors need a 1 foot contour, and some companies will tell you, well, your data only needs to be 1 foot accurate to do that. But that's not true for surveyors, right? There's national mapping standards. You've
Yep.
got to be 2 times or 3 times better than the accuracy you're presenting, right? So to me, Survey grade is something that is consistent, and you can consistently produce the same kind of results that can be trusted, but not it's 1 centimeter or 1 inch or 6 inches or 800ths of a foot. Like all of that doesn't, survey grade doesn't mean anything except a surveyor can rely on the data to be whatever it is.
I freaking love this part of the
Yeah.
conversation. Russ,
I like
let's hear it.
I like the terms design grade and asset grade. I feel are more accurate buckets to start throwing things into.
What does that mean? You just quote terms?
What's that?
I mean, what does design grade and asset grade mean versus survey grade?
So design grade means you could design from it. So someone told me they need a design grade topo. That means that you could design ADA from it. That's design grade. You could design a building, finished floor of a building won't be in a flood zone from it. That's design grade in my world, in the AEC world.
Hang on a second, though. The elevation to get out of the flood zone and the ADA, those are two different.
The difference can be this much. The difference can be this much, but in both of them, this much.
Well,
whether you pass or fail an ADA or you're in a flood zone, can be the difference of a.
Just saying that if I was design grade, that should be a different requirement if you're looking for just a pad elevation or a floor elevation versus having to get down to 0.1% of slope, right? Like,
you'd be, I mean, I don't want to make this super nerdy about what the ADA, but I'm saying but the difference in both of them, whether they pass or fail, could be within a 1/4 inch.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
You could be in or out of a flood zone by a 1/4 inch, technically, and you could be. But I wasn't saying for accuracy. I'm just saying those are the buckets I start with.
I'm just saying, don't you need to know what I'm designing to know what design grade should be?
Yes. Okay. The first question you should always ask is the intention behind anything. But I don't know of anything that's designed to the nearest foot nowadays. Usually, not much.
That's like 500-foot tall stockpile slopes. Like you don't need down to the centimeter. You need,
but they're going to design it closer than that. Whether it's built closer than that,
sure.
I think that I mean there's you sign a map, so that's kind of what describes it. So kind of getting back to what Rob said, if I put 1 foot contours on, then 90% of my contours have to be within 1/2 the interval. That's like national and state almost universally. Like that's the mapping standards. So if you're going to put 1 foot contours, that's just what you have to be with, and that's everyone usually vastly exceeds that. And I'm going to take this into a super nerdy survey conversation.
Great.
Well, let me add to that. I think the only real accuracy classes there were the US. So I know you guys are listened to all over the world, but I'm going to talk US standards here, right? USGS and ASPRS have agreed that there's 4 classes of LiDAR data, right? But what they did change like 2 years ago, I think is massively important because without that change, it was a BS standard. But you have absolute accuracy, right? Of like 1 to 2.5 centimeter is what CL or class like 0, right? And then 5 centimeter, I think is class 1, and 10 to 20 is class 3. Don't quote me on these exact ones. But that is including the accuracy of your control. And I think any manufacturer that is promising an absolute accuracy doesn't understand survey and engineering because I don't control the workflow, right? So the only thing Phoenix LiDAR will ever commit to in the future is relative accuracy amongst itself. And we will train you best practices to get it tied to control. But I'm not going to teach you to collect control. That's the survey and that's the AEC. That's the surveyor's job, right? And what we'll do is help that workflow and commit to that you can get to this. But I love it when somebody tells me that I got millimeter accuracy data and they're using GPS control. I'm like, okay, all right.
No, you don't.
We're not having this conversation because there's a disconnect.
No, you don't.
There's a disconnect there, right?
It tells me
it's on the box. It says millimeter.
I do want to. So what I was talking about, like mapping more, and then Rob's talking about LiDAR constraints. That's what. So we were kind of talking same overall thing, accuracy, just about stuff. But we were talking about 2 different parts of it. And when people ask me what they should do for control, I say, how would you shoot the job? If you would shoot it all with RTK, then give me RTK control. If you would whatever you give me for control, that's the best I can ever be. I can't be better than your control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how can I be better than what you give me?
But those expectations have to be established at the beginning of the job.
Absolutely. And that is,
like, this is what I delivered you when we were expecting to have something else. You know what I mean? It's like that conversation has to happen early on.
I hate to say this, the prevalence of, and I'm going to call somebody out here, and I probably shouldn't do that.
Do it
all the time.
I got broad shoulders. I'm good.
No, it's all good. And because, by the way, I think Pix4D made a phenomenal software, right? But Pix4D, when they came out with, and like their reports are claiming like your accuracy is this after you forced your data to that point. Come on, right? That caused part of this. And like when you saw people in LinkedIn in 2015 saying they're using a GoPro and getting millimeter level accuracy or 100th of a foot accuracy, you're like, all right, you guys, there's a disconnect. And I'm not going to lie. Remember, I started this completely cold. I had no clue what any of this was. Like, I didn't know there was a difference between a US survey foot and a foot. And then I finally found out that, this probably doesn't matter when you're measuring a foot, but of a great distance, the curvature matters, right? And that is why surveyors and engineers exist in this space and are supposed to have the public's best interest at heart. And I think that is the disconnect when you have people saying, oh, I've got technology that can do this. It's not the technology, it's the person that understands the technology that can utilize it for the best results. And I know that turns some people off, right? Because when I say that, like Phoenix LiDAR, we're an integrator, we're a manufacturer, we sell LiDARs. But I don't want to sell a product to somebody that is going to misrepresent that product, because people will look at that and actually say, well, Phoenix LiDAR system couldn't do this. And it's like, Phoenix LiDAR had nothing to do with the project.
Yes.
We just provided the standard, you know? So there's that trade-off. And like, when I say I'm calling like people out, it's not, I don't think it's malicious. I think it's education. And I just did a big thing, and I'm sure we'll get into this conversation. The same thing is going on right now with NDAA, of people not understanding what stuff is. And I think the survey realm, like you have people say, well, why do I have to pay for a survey? Why is North Carolina and Florida shutting down non-survey companies from doing airborne mapping? It's because of that liability that they don't understand. That's why they're doing it. You know what I mean? And I'm not a licensed surveyor. So who am I to promise you an absolute accuracy?
Right.
In some states, I can't legally. So I don't.
Yeah. Is there ever going to be a spot
That's
where
very well said.
align all these accuracy standards? So when Rob is talking about one thing and Russ is talking about another, I mean, Rob and I'll kind of open it up to you guys too. Like, is this ever going to get aligned? Are we going to have this same conversation about LiDAR accuracy versus mapping versus GPS versus this, and we're all in this?
Yeah.
I mean, should it happen, and who's going to do it?
I mean, Russ, you tell me. I think ASPRS is in a really powerful position to make all this alignment happen. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, and they updated. That's what Rob talked about before, where they kind of updated their standards and with the checkpoints and stuff like that. So they're talking about a couple of things. So we start off.
Somebody sells the contract per ASPRS standards. Does it really matter?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you get hauled into court, it's going to matter, because that's what we do. Everything to ASPRS standards, and if you go against somebody who's not.
Documents don't say it should be, then who's to say it should have been?
Well, there's state regulations. So then there's state regulations, and then those always try and go over. But then there's also there's national recommendations that people are supposed to follow. I don't think we'll ever live in a society in this country where we're gonna have like federal law that says that you have to use the ASPRS standards. But it's like you can tell in the language. Even the national mapping
There's actually a federal law that states that if you're doing federal work, you have to abide by USGS and ASPRS standards. The difference is ASPRS used to be an organization that was best practices that had no control, and USGS finally worked with ASPRS and aligned everything. So now ASPRS is not a government entity that sets standards. They're a best practice entity that USGS works with to set that. There is a federal standard. Now, some states will add to that, and like North Carolina and Florida tend to be two of the strictest states, and New Jersey on like survey, right? Illinois, I think, has a really great law. I don't know if it's still in place, but
they do.
Basically, if you provided any data better than 6 inches, it had to be, surveyor, engineer signed, depending what it was, right? Surveyors could only do boundaries, but engineers could do surfaces. But if it was less than 6 inches and it was asset grade, they didn't care. You know what I mean? But they defined a line in the sand that said, this is GIS, this is professionally licensed, controlled. Even California, that people say is strict, engineers can sign off on topography in California. They just can't do a boundary. They can't do a boundary. And every state is a little bit different. And honestly, I would tell you that the US will never be aligned, because you have colonial boundaries, you have Spanish land grant boundaries, you have grid boundaries in different states that were all established under different rules. And if you don't know those, you can't take somebody from Washington State that does a grid boundary and stick them in New York and have them have any idea how to find a colonial boundary. Like, it's...
You damn near have to be a geodesist, seriously, to have any quality when it comes to that type thing.
You do. There are actually international standards that ISPRS is kind of in front of, that are like United Nations standards that the US is signed on, that most generally USGS like follow suit with, and that, but then states can add to the rules. So unfortunately, I think we live in a society that's too connected. Too many people can Google something and make their own impression of what that means. And until it's fought out somewhere and it's ruled on, education is important, and people that get in the middle of it to stir up controversy. Like, there's a joke. How many surveyors do you have to ask before you get the same answer?
Oh, fuck.
Good luck. Good luck. Like, how many engineers do you have to ask to get the same answer?
Sean?
It depends on it depends on the question.
Right. Well, and that is, I hate to say it, like there's a learning curve where they say, right? Like, when I started learning LiDAR, I think I thought I knew the answer to everything, right? And now that I've been doing this for 16 years, I've realized almost every answer is it depends. You know what I mean? Like, in reality, the answer is it depends. It depends what the audience is of who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a field crew that needs heuristics and best practices, I can give them those. And then we had an Ivy League school here last week kind of getting training. And it's funny because we were doing our general training where we were kind of covering heuristics and saying that. And they were like, no. We don't want heuristics. We want it depends, and go down the rabbit hole. And I had to like pull them off to the side and say, I love you guys. We love working with you guys. But if you want to go down that rabbit hole, we need a lot more than a couple days to cover, LiDAR theory. You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, totally get it. Let us go break things for the next month, and then we'll come back and ask you all these questions. We're like, that's what we love to hear. You know what I mean? And it was a great experience. So I think the answer always depends, but education is important, and consistency is important, and people calling out BS. Because there's too many people afraid to say something in the industry when they know it's BS.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I'm very curious to hear Rob and Russ's response to this question. You get an RFP to provide, say, aerial mapping for a 900-mile corridor. Okay. Transmission, but it doesn't even matter what it's 900-mile corridor, right? So freaking generic in the RFP, right? But yet behind the scenes, we all know that there is a lot that goes into mapping this 900-mile corridor. Is that an opportunity to educate the client, or do you look at that RFP and be like, okay, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm going to go about it like this. How do you guys look at something like that?
Is it for the state, for a government, or is it for a private sector?
Private
It doesn't matter. That's why when you can ask questions and stuff.
Private sector.
Private sector. Okay. All right, Rob, you want to take it first?
Sure. I'm going to split this up because I don't care if it's private or public.
Well, there's different ways.
Yeah, I'm in a different position than Russ is. Russ is an AEC firm that's going to go after that project, right? I'm a sensor integrator. I will always take the chance to educate the customer, but I'm also in a position to be able to tell a private customer that wants to do a 900-mile corridor with a 1-inch GSD imagery that they're out of their mind, that they're never going to be able to control the data. Like there's a reason why there's a standard for airborne imagery. Like a company can create a statewide at 1 inch and you're never going to open the data. You know what I mean? When I used to be in the engineering world, that's a different conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, it's balancing. I'll give you an example. We did a proposal to New York City. They wanted 1/4-inch imagery of the entire waterfront.
Wow.
580 miles. And I was like, okay, here's the price to do 1/4-inch imagery of your entire waterfront. And here's a realistic spec at that price. They picked a realistic spec.
Was that for EDC? Was that for EDC? New York EDC? Yeah.
Did they know what they were asking for, or did they need to be educated on that?
They needed to be, well, the thing was,
they were educated this way.
Yeah. Well, no, they needed to be educated, but the reason they did it was there was an issue at the waterfront where a construction firm was putting substandard concrete on the barriers and it was starting to rot and break apart. And if they didn't have that high-end resolution, they couldn't see that. And the structural engineers said, I need this resolution to do an audit. Right. So it started with a good thing, but what they really needed was they needed 1/4-inch imagery after construction on that site, not on all 580 miles. You know what I mean? So it was an education thing. The quickest way to educate somebody is give them a $9 million price tag and a $1 million price tag and explain the difference. And that's when they're willing to listen to you on why there's a difference. And then like I loved my job at Maser and I loved the people there because I was able to go and do a demo with a customer and show them the difference of data, right? And then extrapolate that, hey, you're going to need two petabytes of space to store this data. And they're like, oh, we can't handle that. Okay, let's figure out what is the data need. How is it going to solve 90% of your use case? And let's get there first, and then we can improve upon that. And I was in a position and I was very able to go do that. Now I'm in a position that, and you guys will start to see more of this, where I'm doing these type of shows. I'm doing this. I'm doing interviews with magazines that I'm trying to help get the education out there, not for people to buy a Phoenix LiDAR product, but to help Russell and help the AEC firms out there be able to show, look, this is what manufacturers are capable of, opposed to spec locking, which I might have been guilty of when I was at Maser, knowing that a company was going to put an RFP together and make them make those things so tight that nobody else is going to bid on it. You know what I mean? Like we've all been there. You know what I mean? But now I realize how detrimental that was to the industry. You know what I mean? Like why certain Caltrans standards are the way they are. It's because certain mobile survey firms, not to mention anybody's name on the call, you know, would say, hey, your IMU has to have this many hertz, or you have to have this pulse repetition rate, which none of that mattered for their actual application. And now it's backtracking that or realizing that a lot of things can do that. And those two specs don't actually make as the difference that maybe you thought it did 15 years ago.
Yeah. Rob, if you were here right now, I would make Geo love to you. Just FYI.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Me either. I'm trying. I don't actually want to imagine that. All right. That's what it would be.
Wow, Rob. Oh my goodness. Holy crap.
So yeah. My experience is very similar to Rob. It was like I love when it's a private sector client and you get to educate them the same way. Sometimes you give them sample data, or it's like just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. You know what I mean? Like again, like we could give you petabytes of data, imagery that you could never, you know, you'll need a $3,000-$4,000 computer to be able to open it. Yep. Whatever you want, you know, you want the tiles this big and you want this density and and then there's also like what's usable data, and you get a better chance to kind of, and also offer, sometimes they have a certain methodology locked in and you're like, hey, well, we can do a combination of mobile and airborne, you know what I mean? And change it and save them money, save a bunch of time. I gotta be careful what I say. A lot of the government contracts, they learn because they, like what Rob was saying, all of a sudden they have this vision in their head, and then all of a sudden they're expecting it's $1 million, and all of a sudden they're getting, $9-10 million bids, and then they shut it down, and then they reformulate, and then they come back. Like, they get more information from people about why was it, $10 million? Well, we thought it was only gonna be $1 million. And a lot of times with the government, when they pass it around, they all of them kind of put like a wish listing into it, like earmark it. And so you're trying to serve like 7 different groups, and that's where it gets beyond what they have the budget for, and then they learn that way.
Russell, let me add one thing. The other problem with government clients, a lot of times they'll put out an RFP and then you're not allowed to talk to anybody.
Nope.
That's the other part.
So there is no chance to educate after an RFP hits the street, right? But I guess you overprice, then they go back to the industry and they ask questions. But the funny thing is, we can get into one of this. It's funny, they might have $1 million budget, and then they eventually go back, they get the right scope out, they pay the $1 million, and then the other agency at the same area needs the same thing but slightly tweaked, and now they have $1 million budget, and now you end up doing the same project 5 times and they won't let you use the data, when you're like, we could have probably just done this for $5 million and provided you guys all the freaking data that you guys wanted, and not like, I hate it when a DOT or utility company used to say, hey, I need this project. I'd go fly it. I'd do it. We deliver the data. 3 weeks later, an RFP would come out for the exact same area, but a different scope. And I'd call them and they wouldn't let me use the same data. They would tell me I'd have to go recollect it. And I was like, the data's 3 weeks old. Like, you already bought it. Like, I'll tell you what, I'll give it to you for $1,200 because that's what I have to do to change it to you. And they're like, no, do it again. Do it again. It's a $200,000 project. And I'm like, and it's funny because like some firms are like, yes, we got another $200,000 project. I still sit here today trying to figure out how to solve that, because I'm like, I get to see stuff that my customers do. And I'm not going to like talk about what customers or like what projects. But this year I've seen 4 different customers do very large projects. Right? The exact same projects for 4 different customers. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this is the waste and spending. This is why the pricing is what it is.
Yes, I've seen it.
I'm biting my tongue so hard. I want to, after the episode, I want to talk to you about, I've been in very similar situations. It's crazy.
Dark talk.
Well, I gotta ask the question then. What does it look like? What's the solution look like? That's not, we
need Rob in front of everybody. That's what.
Well, but no, let's say that Rob was in front of everybody, and 4 different people needed that. How are all those different people supposed to align and say, okay, we'll share this, and we'll just have Rob do everything, and there's no, it kind of gets to, state-sponsored data, right?
You have some states that do better than others, right? And it is, I'm going to give you an example. There's, you guys probably know who Paul Bader is, right? So Paul Bader sits on a board in North Carolina, like a geospatial board for the state of North Carolina. And he does a really good job of, when the state is going after projects like that, to make sure he gets all stakeholders involved, that they don't tend to spend that kind of money as a state, on the same projects. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not in the service world anymore, but from what I see is they created a geospatial consulting thing. They went to industry. They have those people involved in the RFPs, and then those people are actually going to the other users of that data before the RFP goes out. So there are ways. I used to sit down with some major utility companies, and I convinced their executive team to send me their survey, their maintenance, their veg crews, all of these people, and just give me a chance to present to them, and said, hey, you guys all don't have budget to do everything you want, but if you guys combine your budgets, we can do everything you guys want. And it did work. But last week, I sat down with a utility company, that owns our equipment and everything else. And we were talking about this, and I mentioned, I go, hey, I saw you guys had an RFP. Who won it? And they told me who won it, because I see the RFPs that are out there, right? And I go, were you involved with it at all? They're like, no. And I go, but you're the head of geospatial for like the entire utility company. And he's like, yeah, they didn't include us. They didn't know. And then like they had a new executive come in, like a CEO of the company that apparently had a company come in to start a geospatial program for them. And 6 months into the consulting, they found out they already had a geospatial division in the company that was actually doing most of their things. So unfortunately, it's the way some companies work. There's so many silos, they don't talk. And I don't know how to solve that. I think AI is probably going to do some things around solving that. I have an idea of how to solve that, but I, you know, I have my dreams, that are out there, and we could always joke around and talk about like that later. I could tell you where Phoenix is headed to help solve some of those problems and help get in front of it. But I also don't want to be a service provider that competes against my clientele. And it's a weird line to walk where I'm at. You know what I mean?
This conversation has gone in a direction I wasn't foreseeing it going. Oh, really? And I'm so glad it did.
This is going exactly how I thought it was.
Oh, this is good.
Obviously, since Phoenix LiDAR is a friend of the program, like the intent of this conversation was to promote Phoenix LiDAR, where Rob has done a fantastic job establishing himself as an expert in this field, in addition to being president of Phoenix LiDAR.
That's fair.
I think he has been doing a very good job of promoting Phoenix LiDAR just by his virtues that he's saying, and like his stance on the industry, right? Yeah.
Phoenix LiDAR this. He's taken such a diplomatic approach.
You do realize this is the longest you've talked about a guest in the third person when they're on the show with us.
Well, I'll tell you guys what. I'm not the guy that's going to ring Phoenix LiDAR. It's like
Sean, you missed what Ken sent to him before when you got up. So, all right.
But just so you know, I'm not gonna ring the flag for Phoenix LiDAR. I believe that rising waters rise all boats, and I think that this industry could do a lot of things better for everybody. And yeah, Phoenix LiDAR wants to do, and we do a lot of things. And you can talk to our customer base, and we care about support, and we care about taking care of customers. But I'm never gonna come on something like this or do a magazine and be like, only talk to Phoenix LiDAR. There are phenomenal companies out there, and like I don't know if you're gonna get any other company to come on here and say this. Leica's a phenomenal company. Regal's a phenomenal company. Trimble's a phenomenal company. I'm going to really scare people. Yellow Scan, GeoQ, LiDAR USA, they all have their wins. There's some companies I won't mention, but they all have their wins. They all have their merits. I think it would be better if we all improve the industry for all of us. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And then try us all and trust who you want to trust.
Right? Position when we're like, why don't we just fly the whole thing, and then everybody can have all the data they need, and we would solve all these things. And the big question I think we're going to talk about in the next year is how we educate people to get to that point.
Absolutely. There are a few things we have to get to. We're already an hour in. Sean, can you stick around? I know, like, when you get to an hour, it's like you turn into a pumpkin. Are you good?
He looks orange.
He's good, right? He looks orange. Don't call Sean orange.
Please continue.
Touchy topic.
I 1,000% want to give you an opportunity to talk about Phoenix LiDAR, though, and what is the differentiator that sets you guys apart from other folks that are doing the same type thing?
Okay, so Phoenix, we're built on workflow first philosophy, right? That's a very hard thing to establish, but you guys all know about this. You guys, there's mission planning, there's acquisition, there's calibration, there's processing, there's QC, there's delivery. I love the tech tip from LiDAR because you guys, or from Leica, you guys just mentioned all those same things at the beginning of the episode, right? That's what we focus on. Is there's not one of those things that's more important than the other, but the breakdown is the communication between those, right? Like if the final deliverable isn't known by the people acquiring the data, you're probably not doing the best acquisition to get to that final deliverable, right? You've got to start with the ends and means, and that's kind of what we're doing. Now, I'm not going to provide the product Topodot does and Bentley does, and final like extraction or the Mach 9s and the AI companies out there. We focus on your best calibrated, registered, sure, ground classified, some basic deliverables, but every user has a different need. So we want to give you the best workflow from planning all the way through with the most transparency on that, how that's happening. We can give you a black box option that you push a button and it's going to go do everything you want it to do. But that doesn't generally fit the surveyor engineering realm. That fits a lot of asset management and maybe some rapid disaster management, and there's a use case for that. But I've yet to ever meet a surveyor and engineer that actually understands remote sensing that will trust a black box to give them the result that they need. They need to know how it got from A to Z. So we try to be very transparent on how this happens, and you get every report of how it moves, right? How the data moves, how it's adjusted, how strip alignment worked, and all of that. So you have confidence that the data is what it is. And I think that's what separates us. And then the other thing is 90% of our units are flexible. You can buy, we named a product a Flex, and it sounds redundant and silly when I say this. We named it the Flex because it's a single head, Regal Vux UAV with our own integration, our own nav system, but you can add a second one to it, make it a dual head. You can take it off, you can put it on a UAV, you can throw it on a backpack. It truly is the most flexible solution out there. That it's funny, I thought most people would buy a dual head and take it off to go do a UAV because that's what I needed to do at Mazer. What I'm finding out is more people are buying the UAV one, and then when they get the other projects to go do that, now they're adding the accessories and they're adding the dual head later on. They're basically self-financing their product instead of buying a big 700K up front or 600K up front. They're like, oh, I need a 200K. I've got the budget now. I've got these jobs. And the funny thing is now we're getting asked, can I remove both heads so I can have one in my office in Miami and one in Jacksonville, and when I need the dual head, I'll bring them together. Of course we're going to do that, right? That's what we do. You know what I mean? And then we're also flexible. A lot of integrators and a lot of the manufacturers, and I totally understand why. I understand it way more in the last 6 years than I did beforehand. If you go to Regal or you go to Like and you say, hey, can you do this custom thing for me? 9 times out of 10, they have to say no, because it's very hard to support a one-off thing, right? I am happy to say yes, but we will scope that appropriately, right? And we're doing it right now. We're doing a custom dual-headed mobile LiDAR with custom cameras, literally being welded in and permanently mounted into a rail car for a rail company that everybody else told them no, right? The funny thing is, we've worked with them for 9 years now. I think we're on our 6th custom system for them, and they keep coming back for more. And there's always a little bit of scope creep, and there's always a little bit of that, but understanding it, what's awesome about that is it makes our software better. It makes our hardware better, because they also don't want to run the system. So when the rail car gets powered, the system gets powered. It auto QCs, it auto uploads the data, it auto starts their extraction tools, and then they get QC reports. So they only have to go in and fix what doesn't work out. And I'm not saying it's 100%, right? Like sometimes they need to go tweak something because their GPS didn't initialize, their IMU didn't initialize, but it will give them a report that says, hey, reset your system. And if they don't in a certain, it will automatically do that. And it's just running nonstop on the rail lines.
Can I make a dad joke? It sounds like your rail system is literally on rails. No one gets it?
I do.
Where do we get this guy?
I'm a dad joke guy, but I'm not going to go there. This will get ridiculous if I do it. And I will embarrass my kids. So my kids hate my dad jokes. So
here's the difference. Russ went dad joke. I'm like, guys, anybody listening to this episode, when you invest in something, you're not just investing in the product, you're investing in the people. And like to Rob talk, you are investing in what Rob brings to the table.
It's like we're talking like one of those car guys that like makes like a custom 69 Camaro with dual head this and then all these other car guys are like, oh, that's freaking amazing. And and that's what
exactly.
And but like when you tell you, I'll give the example is people buy really good toys from people that are really passionate and make really good toys.
You nailed it, brother. You nailed it.
Well, I want to just expand on that joke, just so in case someone's not familiar with how mobile works. But the reason it's on rails is he's describing all of these things that are happening, like, right, Rob? Like you're saying, like auto uploads, it auto does. You know what I mean? Like it's what you would describe as an on rails system,
it does.
software wise.
It's
Yeah.
a challenge. Like, imagine how much data we're getting with dual vuxes
Okay, on
for cameras, right?
I get it now. Sorry, Russ.
But it's no, it's been a long time coming. We built custom systems for a long time. They've always wanted this, but we haven't had a data link to be able to do it.
Yeah.
How do you move terabytes of data an hour? You know what I mean? Consistently and cost effectively on a wireless platform.
Yeah, you put it on a drive, you put it on the train, and it drives it to the next place, and then
Honestly, there's apparently an enterprise Starlink for everything, and they're a big enough company to do it because they're doing it by Starlink. And
That's what I was going to ask you.
Massive amounts of data, and our other customers that do Starlink always get throttled. They're not getting throttled, and I don't know how they're pulling that off.
Probably some cheddar. I was going to ask you if it was Starlink, if that's how they were doing it.
It's Starlink. They've also got a cell backup, and if it does pull into a station, they can pull. We do have like, I think we put like 50 terabytes of storage on board the drive just in case it takes like some time to get going. But honestly, they haven't tapped it yet, so we'll see.
What I like about your system is that, so like we're like a shop at my company, so we have Inertial Explorer, and I personally like Inertial Explorer more than the Planix, and these are the softwares that you would use to result, like if you have GPS and you have an IMU, and IMU is kind of like a black box recorder of motion, right? And then when you do mobile or aerial, I'm saying this in the simplest terms, but it kind of marries the two things together, and that's how you kind of get your path, right? Yep. So what I like is that you have a Regal scanning system that utilizes Inertial Explorer. I just think that's really cool in itself, and the flexibility to be able to pop it onto like if you have an Alta X, you could just pop one of your sensors right onto an Alta X, right, and you're good to go. It'll fit right on there.
We don't. We are platform agnostic from a drone. Like, I think we have integration kits for almost every drone. There's one we don't, but it's because we haven't been asked yet. Like, we'll create those. We don't charge extra premium fees generally to do that, unless it's like this one weird off, like crazy thing. We've done it like basically twice. We've charged some like engineering fees for very custom stuff. But yeah, we get to pick, in our opinion, the best tool for the job. And the reason people always ask, why did you do Inertial Explorer? Because there are some POSPAC fanboys. I'm a POSPAC fanboy. I love POSPAC. I like a Planix, right? I like IE too, but we went with IE because it gives us the flexibility to pick the IMU we want, not have to put a white label brand on top of it, and then encrypt it that you don't have full control over the data, right? Which POSPAC, we're using a lot of the same IMUs a Planix uses, but we're not white labeling it and encrypting the data. You can have the raw data stream to take that into whatever you want. Because of that, IE makes the most sense. It is as flexible as POSPAC is, but I get to pick the IMU, and I get to go directly to the IMU manufacturer. I'm not buying my IMUs from Novatel and Hexagon. I'm buying from the IMU manufacturer, which also helps keep my costs down. When I can sell I hate to say this, like our highest IMU, we call it an IMU 60. It's a Northrop Grumman, generated IMU. It's very high end. It's used by a Planix. It's used by some other people. I sell it for 60K and other people sell it for 180K because there's like 4 different labels on top of it. And I don't do that. I just cut it out and go straight to the end user, right? It's the same IMU that you're getting from somebody else, but I keep the Northrop Grumman label on it and tell you what the IMU is. I'm not rebranding it and then somebody else buying it and rebranding it and going through all these manufacturers. So if I can cut out the middleman, I hate to say that, and create the product, then I get to pick what I want to use. And if you look at the cabinets behind me, like here, these cabinets are full of LiDARs and IMUs that we will never bring to market because we test a lot, and 90% of the time, nope, not worth it.
Interesting.
Right? So there's yes, we do Regal, we do Hesai, we're testing Ouster out right now. I mean, everybody's testing Ouster out. We test other lasers you've never heard of. We have a stake in a company named Geoholics, which is a German laser manufacturer. Some of our lasers are actually made by Geoholics, which is in-house. You know what I mean? Now, because we have a portion of that company and we get to dictate how that goes.
That's awesome.
So we are I mean, I would love to do stuff with Leica. Leica doesn't use integrators, and I get that. You know what I mean? Leica is technically on their mobile LiDAR is an integrator. They're using Teledyne LiDARs and,
Mhm.
you know, Hesai LiDARs and these things and combining them to do their, and I think Leica does a great job. But at that point, why would I buy a Leica? Like Phoenix, I'm not saying a customer. I think they make a phenomenal
Yeah,
product. Russell, you use theirs. But I wouldn't buy a Leica. I would go buy the Teledyne products and and I would combine them in the way I want to combine them because I have the ability to do that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there are reasons we haven't brought in some things to market, not because it's a bad product, but maybe it's not cost effective for the customer versus what it is. Like we've released products to big announcements at trade shows, and the same day Regal walks up to me and goes, "Hey, by the way, we're about to release this." I'm like, "What's the price point?" They tell me, I'm like, "All right, well, that's a dead product. Let's bring off this new one," because they're bringing something just
Yeah.
and it's like, do you know the development and effort we put into that release? And it's like, thanks, Regal. Thanks for killing it for me because they released the next product that twice the pulse repetition rate for 20% cheaper. And it's like, all right,
Yep.
you know,
Gosh
but I
darn,
guess that's what we're using. Shucks.
darn it.
Um,
Oh my
but
God.
Regal's been a phenomenal partner. So, I mean, what 80% of our LiDARs are Regal because they make a very phenomenal product. I just like the way we do the integration because now we can be flexible for our customers.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Rob, I want to touch on one thing you mentioned earlier before we let you go. I got a couple other things I want to touch on, but this one in particular, NDAA compliance. Talk about the importance of that and how it affects everybody in the geospatial world.
This is my biggest hot topic. This is, I can rant on this and I need to watch my tone a little bit. NDAA is the National Defense Authorization Act. It originally started for telecommunications and cameras, and then drones got roped into it. And now LiDARs are roped into it. I actually think it's important. I came from the military. I have a military background. I believe in this. In reality, NDA is a self-compliance, and there's a lot of misinformation out there right now. There are a lot of people claiming their products are NDA compliant, and when you ask them for their paperwork, they're like, "Yeah, here's my paperwork, and it's NDA compliant to the 2019 standards." Well, there's a June 30th, 2026 standard. So there's misinformation there, right? And I know of a DOT that just bought 2 LiDARs, I'm not going to say from who, with NDA paperwork, got them, found out there was Chinese Hesai scanners on them, which are not NDA compliant, covered, lost their crap, had to force a return, and now we're having the conversation, you know, with them. And I've told them, hey, these people do this, but it's such a misnomer. And then there's Blue UAS and there's the new drone dominance thing. But more importantly than that, that's all drone related. Phoenix LiDAR is not a drone LiDAR company, contrary to popular belief. There's the Safe LiDAR Act moving through Congress. There's the Infrastructure Integrity Acts moving through Congress that are trying to move supply chain away from China, Iran, Russia, that kind of stuff across the board. And I'm not against that. Some people say it's going to be a lot more expensive. Every product I sell, with the exception of 2, are NDA compliant. And when I say NDA compliant, I mean June 30th to the latest, you know, covered entity July 7th. And we guarantee that if you buy an NDA compliant system and a standard changes, that you will at least have a path to upgrade into that. If something dramatically changes, and I will be honest with supply chain, we have no Chinese components down to the transformer on the Ethernet chip. And I can say that because we've had it third party ripped apart and found a Chinese transformer on an Ethernet chip. And now every microchip all the way down is good. All of our software is US owned, auditable. We're not going to give our software to audit to a commercial company for obvious reasons. But if the government wants to audit our software, and they have, it's there. The code is auditable. Happy to do that. And I think it's more important to have that chain because then you know we have a reliable supply chain, right? And regardless what tariffs and politics happen, it's not going to affect us. I think we're one of the only companies that, by the way, tariffs hurt last year, you know, but we never upped our price and never pushed a tariff. I promised at Topodot user conference last year we were not going to do it. If this Canadian tariff impacts Ladybug pricing, I'm gonna have to pass that along because it could be a 50% tariff, and I don't have a 50% margin.
Guys.
Yeah.
We know
So,
this.
but
It's so incestuous. We know all these people. It's crazy.
NDAA is, I think the future, and I think people that aren't moving that direction and leaning really hard into the white label Chinese products are going to get bit very hard in the US. Now, the rest of the world, I would tell you that you'd probably find on. Japan is doing their own NDAA equivalents that's mirroring the US. Canada, they're saying they're going to do better trade relations with China. They're doing the same thing for critical infrastructure and security. The UK is doing it. It's starting to become more prevalent, and I don't know how that's going to impact other people in the space. I'm very, very aggressively in front of this. I have the phase 4 plans of the proposed plans all the way out to April of 2028. And I'm reacting to those, even though they're only proposed and they're not law, because I'd rather be too high of a standard than not meet the standard. Right. And if I'm promising my customers upgrades and paths to upgrades, I need to make sure that's a true statement. And in reality, you buy a system from me today, regulations change in 6 months. I'm going to cover that as part of your warranty. Maybe over a year, you might need to, Sony gets kicked off of an approved list and you need to change a camera to something else. Okay, I'll charge you to change the camera, but I'll change the camera for you. I'm not going to obsolete your product, right? We still support products that we sold in 2014, right? We have obsoleted a couple camera systems we used to use in the past, but we still have people using 12-year-old LiDARs out there, and we will still support them.
Well, the cameras is kind of out of here. I mean, once they discontinue making the cameras, it's kind of binds your hands, right?
It is, but and CPUs we used 12 years ago. So when those people send in on an RMA, we're like, hey, $800, I need to upgrade your CPU. And they're like, only $800. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it for cost. I go, they're like, why? I'm like, I don't need you make money because you need this chip to take our new software. Like, we sell software. I mean, we make money doing software. We are a for-profit company. Don't get me wrong. We make money, but I'm not going to nickel and dime a customer for every little thing, right? Like, I can't.
On policy changes, and you can't make money on that. I mean, you could, but it's not a good business plan.
But I can support it, and I can support the policy changes and make sure that those customers are compliant. And I think that alone gives us the integrity and the trust in the market to come to us. I mean, we have more than 1,200 LiDARs out in the wild. Some are not NDAA compliant, and we've been very transparent from day one if they're not. Like, our Recon series is not NDAA compliant, and I will not claim it as technically, I could get down to the line item and say this is actually NDAA compliant, but it doesn't meet the intent of the NDAA rules, and I won't do that. Like, I have a Chinese camera that we sell that's got Chinese chips in it that I actually know every BOM. It doesn't have any covered entity list or anything on it. But am I really going to give you an NDA thing signed with a Chinese communist stamp on it? Like, it's disingenuous. So if we have something that kind of balances the line, there's no way I'm claiming it. You know what I mean? Like, you will know from us all the way down to the microchip that you're good at the most recent regulations and probably the next one, but I don't know until it comes out. And the second it comes out, which is generally announced 6 months before they go into effect, we will put out a notice to people if it affects them or if it doesn't. And we have a lot of DoD and government customers that they really appreciate. They stay right in front of that. The June 30th rules came out. They're like, hey, are we good? And I'm like, let's check by BOM, by thing. Yep, you guys are 100% good. Doesn't affect you. And they're like, rock on, thanks.
All right, I got one question, and then we're going to go into the flashbang part of the program.
You're calling it a flashbang part?
Yeah, we'll call it flashbang.
I thought it was rapid fire.
Rapid fire, flashbang, call what you want. Rob, oh my God, I'm so freaking impressed. First of all, Saluki, first and foremost.
Dude. Get over it.
Yeah, not a Gamecock. What are you guys in? Where are you in North Carolina State?
Wolfpack.
Not a Wolfpack. Whatever the hell that is. Saluki. Rob, real quick, what from all the experiences that you've had, talk about how it has influenced you as being a leader and being president of Phoenix LiDAR.
You guys politically correct?
Yes.
Ish.
Okay.
Ish.
I've messed up a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes.
Good for you.
I push my staff to make mistakes, fail quickly, and learn from it and move on. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't think people should be. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. If you're not failing, are you doing anything? You know what I mean? So I honestly, I think everything from military, baseball when I was a kid, all of that, as I've learned, you try your best, plan to fail. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Try harder.
Yes.
I want to instill that in other people. I can be a prick. You know, people know me. I can be a little bit of a prick because I also believe in holding people to standards,
Bingo.
right? And I think standards matter. And more importantly, you put the customer first, regardless of profit at cost and everything else. Because if a customer is in the field dealing with a problem and you don't fix that problem, you are the problem. And I do that because I used to be the guy in the field dealing with a problem that couldn't get help. Right? So we can't always solve it. We can't always solve it. We do make mistakes in, support. We have had to replace, a product to a customer. But I think most of them, 99% of our customers will tell you we've been over backwards. And I think our reputation is highest level of support in the industry. And if that starts slipping, then that tells me we need to slow down, and I need to reinforce that because we are growing rapidly and fast. But that's the one thing I'm not willing to let up on.
You're right.
That's it.
And as long as you're at the helm, I have no doubts that's the truth.
Well, one of our good friends, Michael Bowman, has taught us is take the shame out of failure, and I think Rob is doing a good job of that.
Yep, great cross reference.
We do have a last segment that we'd like to go through. It's called Bullshit, Breakthrough, or Too Soon to Tell. Rapid fire questions. I got 5 of them. I want to get your thoughts, and Russ, you can chime in here. Bullshit, breakthrough, or too soon to tell?
Am I only allowed to say bullshit, breakthrough, or too soon to tell, or do you want context?
I'll take context, but not more than 15 seconds.
Got it.
That's awesome.
One-liners. Fully autonomous LiDAR missions from planning and acquisition through processing and final deliverable with almost no human involvement.
Russ?
Bullshit. Oh,
Russ?
Sorry.
Oh, me? Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
You're saying
I don't think anytime soon.
No, you don't think it will ever happen?
I mean, ever in our lives? Do I think we'll get to Alpha Centauri one day in 5,000 years? Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible, but I don't think. I don't think. It's with no human involvement processing it and not in the next 5 years. Not in the next 5 years.
Okay, fair enough. Fair. Rob said bullshit as well.
I'm going to say bullshit, asterisk, too soon to tell. I don't think you'll get to the final deliverable, but I think you could do planning, acquisition, and get your initial data probably processed. I think the final deliverable, bullshit.
Yep.
That's where I was hung up on too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the next one. AI-powered point cloud classification will soon eliminate most manual cleanup and drastically reduce processing time.
Who? Rob? Me?
Somebody.
Okay.
It's already here. I agree. It's here now, kind of.
Here now, yeah.
I will say breakthrough asterisk. Is AI good enough at 90%, or do you spend as much time finding what it missed? I don't know.
Yep, fair enough.
It's what you're looking for. Yeah, I would say 90%. It's close. Yeah, it's at 90%. That's fair.
Yeah. I think it's almost there.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Next one.
Fist bump, Rob. Me and him are on the same page.
We're killing it.
All right. SLAM, precise point positioning, and continuously improving GNSS corrections will eventually make traditional ground control largely unnecessary. That's a fucking softball.
Wait, what? What in the chat GPT is this question?
Wait, no, SLAM, precise point positioning, continuously improving GNSS correction. Well, I get exactly what you're asking, and I'm going to answer it as strongly as I possibly can.
That's
utter bullshit.
There it is.
Full stop, no exception. Bullshit.
Agreed.
Can't.
No.
Non-starter.
Not going to happen.
This is Geoholics. If this was not a geospatial, breakthrough. But this is geospatial. Bullshit.
What does the SLAM have to do with the with the ground control.
Slam can correct position. There's an argument Slam can correct it. I get where it's coming from. Slam can correct positioning.
I guess I just misunderstood the question, but so we're gonna.
Yes, I know this is for you.
Sorry,
We'll go. Just say
I'm slow.
emerging technology will replace traditional ground control and make it largely unnecessary.
No.
Okay, that was the point. Next one. Real-time onboard LiDAR processing will allow crews to verify survey-grade completeness and accuracy before leaving the project site.
Wait.
It's happening.
I'm on board. Well,
It's supposed to be rapid fire.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's breakthrough. Like, does breakthrough mean that it's coming soon or it's here? What is
Happening? Yes.
I haven't said we're very close to that. I think we're very close to being able to see the results from. You're saying like RTK on the control points in real time. Yeah. With the scan data, I think we're really close. It might even exist that I don't know of, but we're very close to that. I think
before you leave the site.
Well,
I've been doing it for 11 years before I leave the site, but onboard processing getting close. Onboard processing getting close before I leave the site. It's been there for a long time.
The completeness you can check. It's like in every system now, right? Every platform's kind of got like it has field tablet where you can see your cloud, and you can see your.
And guess what? It's way different than how it was when I started. And you went out in the field, traversed whatever a mile, then brought your field notes back in, and had to be like gone through, enter into the computer. Yeah,
you're not counting all the time it takes to get there by horse and buggy. Because
I'm
so old.
Ken's calculator was like this. It was the abacus. It's fucking.
And he was actually dragging chain, right? Like physical chain.
All right. Last one.
Sorry,
are becoming commodities, meaning software integration, workflow, training, and support will matter far more than the hardware itself.
This is an amazing question.
It's a good one.
Let Rob answer.
This should have been true from day one.
It is absolutely true now.
All of it has always mattered. You could have the best LiDAR in the world, and if you can't process it, what the hell does it matter? Like if it wasn't tied to an IMU, well, I can take the best laser scanner in the world. I don't know where it is. This should have always been true. I think it's becoming relevant. Much more relevant now, and workflow probably is the thing that needs to be improved. I'm sorry, workflow training and support need to be improved the most right now. Hardware, come on, don't give me another scanner that shoots faster. Like nobody needs more points. Like I don't think anybody wants a 5 million point per second scanner. Like I don't think that's what they're asking for. Give me reliability every day of the week. That's all.
Or we're going to shave like 15 seconds off a tripod setup scan. You know what I mean? Like we're at the point of diminished return. I feel like kind of on the hardware, and it's more workflow integration and training.
I don't like it. The guys in the field see this crap, advertised, and they think, "Oh shit, we need this new one because it will save me 3 seconds on this setup when you're out in the field." I'm like, that 3 seconds matters nothing when it still takes us hours to process. All these, we're there
1,000% with you.
And when a field team saves 5 minutes in the field, and it costs your post team 8 hours to fix the problem because they cut a perpendicular line or didn't do a proper setup, the field time doesn't need to be improved. The thought process behind utilization for field staff needs to be improved.
Well said. Well said. Couldn't agree more.
Oh my gosh. Well, Sean, you have one more question for Rob.
I always do. Yes. But before I do, Ross, do you have anything else out to get out there before we let everybody go? Anything that was left unsaid?
No, I think this is the second opportunity I've had to interview Rob, and the conversation gets better every time. So it's a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in Germany, my friend.
Rob's like
absolutely. I'll see you at UAV and Germany. We'll be back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
The entire month together.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, before I ask you the last question, is there anything else you want to get out there about yourself or Phoenix LiDAR before we let you go?
Yeah, two things. NDAA compliance. If you're concerned about your product, go to phoenixlidar.com. We've got an NDAA compliance review. We'll help you review even third-party products. There's no cost to you. We are not going to bash anything. We're not going to tell you, and we might say, hey, this is what you need to ask, because I can't tell you what's inside every product. And two, SOAR, November 17th, 18th, and 19th. I think the dates are right. Yeah, 17th, 18th, 19th in Austin, Texas. We are doing real-time airborne flights, mobile drives, UAS, and software demos in Austin. If you're interested, phoenixlidar.com, put in an interest form. We'll kick you all the information. There's no cost to attend except for you getting here.
Nice.
We'll also cover your meals and expenses, or your meals while you're here, because we're covering breakfast, lunch, and dinner for everybody.
Wow. Really cool.
Awesome.
Hey, it's going to be a banger, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Last year was phenomenal. You should check out the videos. Like we heard it was one of the better events, and it's a great networking thing. You don't just need to come to talk to Phoenix. Most of the big mapping companies are here, and network with them and like meet other people. It's great to do that.
And rumor has it the Geoholics are going to be recording from a helicopter.
I've heard that rumor.
I'm going to give you two options. You can either do from a helicopter or an airplane, or both.
We'll take both. We'll agree.
Are barrel rolls on the table, or
barrel rolls are not on the table? Safety first, guys. But we do have a setup. We've already checked the audio. You won't have all the background noise. You can do it, and we can even record LiDAR data and provide that data to your customers real time from the audio. But whatever you guys want to do,
that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, you guys are invited. But honestly, anybody that's interested in the products or just geospatial, come down. We're gonna have. It's not just us. Regal's going to be here. Phase One's going to be here. We're inviting, other people in the space to come and show off some of their products. Obviously, this is more centered around Phoenix products, but there will be some other vendors here. So
November 17th and 19th in Austin. If people are interested, how can they find out more about that? Go to
phoenixlidar.com. It's going to be under the events page. Call, email sales@PhoenixLiDAR, email info@PhoenixLiDAR. Reach out to me directly. Everybody here knows about it. They'll kick you all the information. All we do is ask for RSVP information so we can kind of plan around food and transportation and that kind of stuff. Yep.
All right, we got to let you go. Last thing, I have to always ask everybody, Rob, do you have a mantra that you live by?
Fail fast.
Love it.
Yes, fail fast. Typical Saluki right there.
Of course.
I love it.
Wow.
All right, let's get this rolling. Adding value, making friends.
Check that box, my friend.
We freaking checked both boxes tonight. No doubt about it. If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@geoholics.com. We'd love to have you to be our guest. We're booking into October? October right now?
October-ish, yeah.
So give us a shout. We'd love to have you. Huge thanks to our friends of the program, Altair Central, David Evans and Associates, Emlid, DBLS, Depping Diamond Bank Land Surveying, like 12D Synergy, and of course our good friends of course LiDAR, Black Moods, Need to Know, available everywhere. Until next time, everybody. Hey, all I know is Rob represented the Salukis better than anybody on our show ever has.
And we appreciate their support.
1,000%.
Absolutely.
Be safe, and everybody. I need to know.